Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another action-packed episode of Red Pill Tamales. I know y'all are here for y'all's dopamine fix. Some of y'all want some entertainment, some knowledge, some good game, how to keep your head on a swivel. Don't fall for the fake news. Don't fall for the okie doke. Shout out to the producer Rob, making it all possible. And shout out to you guys. Shout out to the patrons. The podcast is growing tremendously, and because of you guys, we're allowed to do this, and we still have freedom of speech.
That's right. Is this it? Yeah. Give it up to you guys.
See, we done went and bought some sound effects thanks to the patrons.
I got all these drops that I want to put on there that we can use periodically of your boy Joseph Raheem saying things like, come on, man.
Come on, man. We definitely need some Joseph Raheem Breezy.
Yeah, or any of the other ones. As much as I hate it, we have to kind of maybe get the cackle. Get the Joker's cackle, because periodically it's needed.
Yeah, we definitely need that. I am hitting the road mañana.
Oh, that's right. Believe, when this drops on Friday.
Yeah, for sure. So we are headed to Killeen, Texas, and also Lubbock, Texas. Lubbock, Texas this weekend, man. Back to back. You know, Lubbock is far as shit.
Dude, it is. I've never been, but all I hear is about that one straightaway where it's just like forever and a day, and there's nothing there.
It is far than a summer, my bitch. But we are very excited to be coming. April 9th, April 10th, Killeen, Texas. April 11th, Lubbock, Texas. Please tell a friend, spread the word. Corpito is the 361. We will be in your neck of the woods, Corpus Christi, May 20th through May 22nd. Then we hit the West Coast, Ontario, California, July 14th. Hopefully it doesn't get pushed back. Oxnard, California, July 15th. Irvine, August 11th. Then down the road, we have Denver, Houston, Addison, San Antonio, Texas. A whole lot more.
Dope.
But excited to be back at work, man.
Is there anywhere on that's not on the list that you're like in the back of your head that might come to fruition and we might be able to talk about it? Like any states or cities that are on your radar?
No, right now we're mainly trying to decide if we're going to leave, I think like June and July kind of, I don't know if is it July, August? I can't remember. May, June. We're basically trying to figure out if we're going to add stuff maybe towards the end so that in that little middle where shows are slow, we can use that time to focus on other projects, you know, beef up the merch department, focus on podcasting.
Gotcha.
And so on.
Cool.
So, yeah, man.
And it's summertime. Like, do you guys plan on doing anything for the summer?
Well, the mosquitoes are back. That's for sure.
They are already coming back.
You mean like tour-wise?
No. Just like family-wise.
Man, we should definitely do some kind of outdoorsy outing. We definitely should, man. Either hit the river or something.
Mm-hmm. Go back to
camping, something.
Like Somerville, something like that. Just curious, because I know you guys love
wine
doing
tasting, hit the Texas Hill Country, go to Fredericksburg, something.
That would be dope. But Marisol's got to be able to be able to drink.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, she's pregnant, so.
Because if she's chauffeuring you around and you're enjoying all the vineyards and the distilleries.
Yo bien pedo on a golf cart, no me ven.
Dude, we've talked about it, but you got to go to Fredericksburg. Whenever she's, able to drink and y'all have some time away.
You know I DJ'd the high school prom for Fredericksburg.
No.
Yeah.
This is RPT, everybody, but I want to hear about this.
We'll talk about it on Chingo chats.
You're right.
The non-political, because there's so much happening in the news. So much happening.
There is, and you brought up the Oxnard show, which actually, might as well just get right into it because there's a lot of Cali news in the news.
Yeah, sure is.
Starting with, what's the date that everything's supposed to reopen? It's on the side. Oh, I didn't give it to you. Give me a second. I sure didn't.
I think it was like, from what I saw in the memes, I think it was like July 15th. But it was like Governor Newsom said, if we hit all these different bullet points, like if we flatten the curve, and all this other little mumbo jumbo. So California to lift COVID-19 business restrictions, June 15th.
Damn,
March,
son,
April,
June
May.
15th.
Man, March, April, May, June. So what are they allowed to do? What's today's date? It's April 8th. What is California, based on your county, what are they allowed to do?
Well, based off the conversation Rogan was having with Dan Crenshaw yesterday, it's still the same as it was a year ago.
Still?
Yeah.
Well, from what I've heard, I could have swore their gyms opened up a little bit.
Yes. I think 25% is what I keep hearing.
Their restaurant restrictions probably lightened up a bit. Because for a while, it was like only takeout. Okay.
So this is it right there. California to lift COVID restrictions June 19th.
June 19th. Meanwhile, Texas Stadium. So Are the Houston stadiums going to allow that full capacity?
As far as I know, the UFC is the first event where that's going to be the thing, right? Okay. Which is going to be next month. So I imagine, Dynamo, Rockets, Astros are to follow. But
does it depend on the league or the team?
Both. I think it depends on it depends on all that because the Giants, actually, it's on the list as well. The Giants, the fucking baseball team is playing this Friday is their opener. And the way the Rangers did their opener, 40,000 people, right? No distancing, no mask. It's the other way around for the Giants.
Wow. So look, the Giants, as baseball fans head to San Francisco for the Giants opening game Friday, they will be required to show proof of vaccination. You got to show your shot papers, los documentos. You don't want to be caught undocumented out here. Or they can show a 72-hour-old or less negative COVID test result in order to be admitted. So how early do you have to show up to the game to be able to produce your documentation?
That's a good point because I thought about that too when Rogan and Chappelle, they're doing all those shows in Austin at Stubbs, and you'd have to get there earlier. I mean, he made it sound like in 2 hours, I think, or less, they could get everybody tested, like rapid tested.
Is that how Rogan and Chappelle doing it?
They've been doing it, yeah. At the
so you get rapid tested right there.
Everybody's got it. Yeah, everybody shows up early and everybody gets tested. But he's in Houston next month, and they're not doing that here. At what the fuck is it, White Oak or...
Rogan's on so much stuff, he ain't tripping.
For real, he ain't worried about it. Chappelle got it, he didn't even get it,
Wow. I don't know how to interpret that based on 2021 cultural sensitivity standards. Okay. So either you're a bigot or you're just stating facts.
People don't want to hear facts.
Anybody from the Bay Area, if you're a San Francisco Giants fan, let us know. Will you be attending the opening game Friday? Are you gonna show your vax papers?
So that continues to say, oh shit, where is it?
Basically, they want some leverage. They're not just gonna give you your freedom back just cause. It's like, no, bro, we trying to negotiate something in exchange. You want to pass to freedom. You want your key back to your freedom. Show us your papeles.
Right, there's gonna be a path to it.
Oh, you want to go to games, huh?
Oh, that's cute. You think you're going to games? Nah.
Yeah.
This continues to say, where's it at? Right here. This is what I guess an official said. So San Francisco public health officials are behind the mandate. And this is what they said.
All right, Ayi. Okay, I think it's more of a one-off, said Dr. Monica Gandhi, a professor of medicine at UC San Francisco. I think San Francisco is being very cautious right now, but the requirement is probably going to go away. That's how she talks, right? Like Mayor Quimby. Requiring masking and seating people in small groups is enough. The testing adds little to that. In addition to requiring a so-called vaccine passport, the Giants will fill the stadium at only 22% capacity early on, which amounts to approximately 8,900 fans per game. And the rules are subject to change as more people are vaccinated.
Fuck. 22%, man.
And at what point do the people of California revolt? I mean, I know they're trying to recall Newsom, because that's probably going to be the biggest, what's the word? He probably has the most say,
right,
in terms of all these things, right?
Right. And it's funny because did you watch that Red, White, and Blueprint trailer I sent you by chance?
Which one's that one about?
You mother.
Which one is that one about?
It's Red, White, and Blue Blueprint, bro.
Okay.
Hey, tighten up,
How
man.
long ago did you send said?
Like the day before yesterday, I think.
Okay.
Hold on.
A vehicle. Well, I'm looking at all these other Apple CEO.
It was to you and Soul, actually.
Oh, there you go. Let me go to the group. One moment. Well, set it up while I'm digging through my phone. They're probably like, this is the slowest start to an RPT episode.
That's not true.
Y'all should have started with a Chingo chat before it came in hot.
Absolutely not. That's not true at all.
Okay, I'm looking for this trailer.
No, I'll pull it up. So it's all about, it's Californians, right? So you said, when are Californians going to revolt? So somebody sent this to me, I believe. I don't know how I caught wind of this, but I sent it to you guys afterwards. And I thought it was pretty fascinating. So if the YouTube video here pulls up, I'll be able to play it for you.
Oh, yeah, we called AT&T. Shout out to the patrons.
Hey.
So this shit should work better.
As I say that.
While the U.S. waits for a vaccine that in just a few hours, a sweeping
They lied to you.
Here we go.
new lockdown will take effect across California.
My fellow Americans, it is time to take our freedom back.
People all over the country are getting fed up with all the lockdowns, and now a revolution. Patriot in California putting an entire county board on notice.
You won't stop us when time comes because our families are starving. Because this is a warning, and there's a million people like me.
There was a reason we fought, and that flag was pretty much what it was all about.
Uh-oh.
The veteran, identified as Carlos Zapata, shared his grievances.
Leader in California.
We're drawing a blueprint for the rest of the country to know what it's like when you decide that constitutionality and freedom comes first.
Brother.
It's like our side, the working class, is their heads have popped up, you know, and they're like, man, there's something not right going on.
Draw a line in the sand.
Yep.
If we keep running further and further back, they're going to keep crossing the line.
If you're not going to fight now, you're not going to fight 2 steps down the line.
I pledge allegiance to my fellow brothers and the flag of the United States of America, and I just say bring it.
We don't have much say in Sacramento or Washington. Our supervisors are supposed to protect us from illegal or unconstitutional orders that come from above. They're not supposed to work for the governor. And they've just lost sight of that over money, really.
And we have a government that's controlling everything we do. We already have the rights from God. We already have the liberties. We've lost all of them.
Sure.
We need to restore it.
We need to get down to the guts of this whole deal and talk about who our supervisors are, who needs to get recalled, who needs to go, and then who we're going to have to replace these people.
The reason why our supervisors are so scared of us is because week after week we come with information that contradicts everything that we are being told, and yet we are still being silenced.
There are 5 supervisors in Shasta County. 3 of them must be recalled.
Leonard Modi, he's got to go. He's the guy who will turn off his monitor when people are speaking. It's your job to listen to us.
This whole COVID thing happened. Everybody's kind of on the fence, like what's going on? School started, and it started hitting home with all of our children.
I think all of us have heard that I won't set my child on fire to keep yours warm.
Right.
Right. But I was telling him, I will set myself on fire to keep the kids warm.
You, board of supervisors, are able to secure our liberties by the authority granted to you when you took your oath of office. Your time has come.
Thomas Jefferson said, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance.
We all stood by and let the world get to this point at some level. Now what are we going to do to move?
Okay, I need a freedom of speech tour trailer edited like this.
Dude, you ain't lying.
Me in the eye and say, Grandpa, why didn't you fight?
So redwhiteandblueprint.com is the website, or you can go to their YouTube channel. It's called, the YouTube channel is Red, White, and Blueprint. The first episode of this 10-part series is already on their channel. It's 35 minutes long, so it's a real time. So again, I don't know a ton about it, but these cats in California, in Sacramento specifically, are banding together, making this real-time docuseries about how they're having to, they're going back and trying to get back their freedoms, essentially, right? They're trying to make sure that this doesn't happen again, that everything is lifted faster than whatever, the government wants to do right now. And the perfect example is what we're talking about. Like, you're talking about June to start lifting mandates, opening doors.
This is how the government is going to take apart that little crew.
Okay.
Organization.
I love
They're going to find out how many of these motherfuckers believe in Q. That's the first thing they're going to do. How many of y'all motherfuckers is QAnon? That's number one. We're going to hit you with that. And then they might do a hit piece or two, dig up some dirt. They might do some disinformation. Like they'll spin it and they'll do some local coverage. They'll call them militias. Let me find out some of y'all, how many weapons y'all got. Boom. Now they try to categorize them. But look, I'm not saying they're going to hit them with the RICO law.
Right.
I'm not saying they're going to call them organized crime and no shit like that. But they're going to try to discredit them. They're going to try to paint them as cuckoo.
Yeah.
Anything so that people can distract and not get no ideas. In other words, somebody might be like, hey, what's this movement? Looks like it's something to do. Some people might get involved because they ain't got no job. They ain't got shit to do. It might seem like fun. Kind of like how Antifa, a lot of people join Antifa because they ain't got shit to do. And
right.
It's like an activity, like the weather's good and we're going to go break some shit. So I wish them the best. And I think as Texans, we got to get
Absolutely. Where's the hand clap? Give it to him. Yep, absolutely.
I'm like, okay. The guy's name is Carlos Zavala.
Zapata, yo creo.
Or Zavala or something like that. I remember he went viral the first time when he gave that warning in that little city council meeting.
Oh,
right?
word? That was him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It looked like him. It looked like the same guy. And they talking big shit. It sounds like they putting their foot down. And it looks like they're going about it fairly peacefully.
Right.
You know, they're exercising all their legal rights and calling these people out with facts, saying...
Starting with going to those board meetings and going to your local officials, gatherings and talking about whatever your needs are, right? If these are public servants, motherfucker, can you serve, please?
Yeah.
That's all they're asking.
I wonder if they've been labeled racist yet. QAnon, racist. I wonder if they've been bundled up with the crazy Trumpers. I wonder if they've labeled them crazy, racist, QAnon, conspiracy Trumpers.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Militia. They're probably going to accuse them of like being a cult and like having too many weapons and shit like that. That way, everybody else watching don't get no ideas. And they're going to be like, look, man, we're the government. We want the best for you.
Right.
We have to all hang in there. Your kids can't go back to school. Don't worry about mental health. Don't worry about your livelihood and, paying bills and shit.
Did you listen to, by chance, any of the Crenshaw on Rogan yesterday?
I heard like 2 clips. Okay. And I heard the people on the Hill, the Rising, they were talking shit about him.
Yeah?
Yeah, they were like, this is so asinine, idiotic. His explanation of the stimulus. Like saying why the stimulus is bad and all this type of shit.
Oh, right. They were talking about...
Yeah, they let him have it on that one.
Interesting. I'll have to watch that because I like that show too.
Yeah. And I know we've recommended The Rising on the Hill to people who are like, all right, I don't want to get all sucked in to 4chan, 8chan. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to put on the Q hat.
You've talked about it. That's mental illness as well. If you go all in on one, right? How did you phrase it?
Well, I don't know the source, but there's like studies that show that there's observable brain damage.
Right.
If you consume too much partisan media, like just too much Fox News, too much CNN, you can fuck your brain off a little bit. Which a lot of people think that's what happened to me. I know a lot of people accuse me. They're like, Chingo, how could you walk away from the Democratic Party? We hear you saying things like, wait till the caravans come, watch what Biden does. He's selling y'all a dream. He's going to have to be tough on the caravans. I know what I'm telling y'all. Y'all want to be one-issue voters. But people were quick to call me gay anon.
Oh,
yeah, they thought. Somebody tweeted me, what did Q said? Because they just assume, how could anybody step away from the warmth and love and diversity of Joseph Breezy Biden and Kamala Harris? How could you not want to build back better? Why are you so racist? That's how some people see it.
Okay, so the partisan brain.
You found it?
Party loyalties hinder the brain's ability to get a handle on reality. It's a long write-up. We don't have to read the whole thing, but at least you can look it up now if you're interested in what it is, the partisan brain. Okay, yeah, I mean, that goes for anything, right? When you go all in on anything, your perception of everything else is going to be skewed. Just a little, at least a little, if not a ton. And then you're going to have a fucking, what is that warrior helmet that guy had on? And you're going to storm federal buildings and
they're going to call it an insurgency.
Yeah, and you're going to find yourself in prison.
Okay, so have you heard of that Q documentary thing or whatever it is?
No,
it's on HBO Max.
Oh, shit.
It's called Q Into the Storm.
Q, gay into the storm?
Q, yeah, not gay. Q Into the Storm. We saw the first episode last night.
Word?
It was fascinating.
Whoa.
It was very fascinating. It was extremely fascinating because, now I guess let me just set it up briefly.
Please.
Right? I'll try to give you the quick rundown. So in essence, a dude made a documentary where he's trying to figure out who is Q. And he's just covering the Q culture.
Okay.
He's covering everything from podcasters and YouTubers that take these Q drops, like these posts that this Q person would put on these forum message boards on 4chan. Then he moved it to 8chan and this and that. And at one point, the dude who was posting the Q drops, a lot of people were like, this ain't the real Q. It's like this whole culture and world to where it's part religion in a way. It's part, conspiracy theory.
Right.
And it's this vague little game where like they try to interpret and read into the little random things that Q posts. Are you familiar with any of this Q shit?
I mean, I'm familiar with what I see on Reddit or Twitter or Instagram.
Do you know what WW1 WGA stands
Absolutely
for?
not.
Okay, that's where, what is it? I'm gonna butcher it. Where we go one, we go all.
Ah.
And it's a quote from like a fucking 90s movie or some shit. It's called Squalls something. But Q put it in. Basically, Q, when he does his drops, his little posts, right? He puts this ambiguous, vague stuff where it's kind of like, ba ba ba, beware of the storm or some shit. And then Trump will give a speech like a week later and he says, it's the calm before the storm, folks. And then all the Q people are like, Q is a high-ranking general that has access to Trump, and he's dropping notes because Trump about to go in and arrest all the satanic pedophiles in the deep state and shit like that.
I feel like this is what I talked about last week in a sense where I was like, if you can really form words in a story really well, you can convince people of a lot of shit. Do you want to watch the trailer real quick?
Yeah,
for this?
sure.
I didn't even hear about this, and Chingo be educating over here.
Anybody, I'll show them Q proofs. Say, look, talk me out of it.
Have you heard of the Q? The what?
QAnon?
You heard of the Q? They're in Boston for sure.
What had started in an online forum had crawled out from behind the screen to the seat of power, all with the help of a single letter.
And we're gonna win big. You just watch.
In 2018, I set out to chart Q's origins.
I wrote the first part of 8chan while I was coming off of psychedelic mushrooms.
You can really find yourself falling down a hole trying to find out who Q is.
I'm pretty sure Q is a spin-off from Star Trek.
Q is whatever you want it to be. Sometimes they'll even think it's me.
I have a question. You're going through a possible list of who Q might be.
That's right. You're on the list.
Well, let's continue then.
Oh.
Dangerous ideas. That's a scary idea.
People conspiracy theorize about things that they think are powerful.
What did we conspire against?
Followers try to discredit reporters because we're required to find out if it's true or not.
It seems like Q's gone mainstream.
They don't care about all the people dying. They're lunatics running the asylum.
You can't expect to get counterpunched.
We have to go. We need to move.
Game over.
This Q thing is just exponential growth.
I think people are worried it's going to be used to radicalize more people.
Do you think that is warranted?
Interesting.
So this is what I was telling my soul.
Okay.
Okay, when we were trying to process it, I said it speaks a lot about the human brain, like the human condition, just us as Homo sapiens, right? Advanced primates and shit. How our brain works and how like meaning, storytelling, narrative, religion, like think about it. You can get obsessed on a lot of shit. How many people get obsessed on keto? Bitch,
Right.
if it ain't keto, it ain't shit. How many people get obsessed on CrossFit? Bitch, if you ain't swinging dumbbells, you a hoe. How many people get upset? You got Scientology. You have a lot of different religions. People believe all kinds of different things, right? Some people believe simulation theory. Some people believe the earth is flat. All kinds of stuff. So you have that. And then you have like this social dilemma type of modern day world that we live in where you got social media and people don't trust the mainstream narrative, and then you got like your Alex Jones people, and then the way the Q drops, these texts that he would put up, he or she or whoever, how they were vague, and he would repeat things like the storm and like different imagery, and people would apply whatever meaning they wanted. So it's very persuasive. Just like when the Democrats were saying, it's going to be dark. It's a dark winter. Dark. Trump's speech at Mount Rushmore was dark. It was dark. So now you start to apply what's scary to you, what you're afraid of in the dark, and applying it to Trump's speech was dark. And it's like, dark, racism. It was racist? You know what I'm saying? So it's this interesting little bowl of everything I just described. The human condition, the human brain, shit we believe, how things spread, how ideas can be contagious, the kind of a cultish factor.
Yeah.
And then it's entertaining. So some people just find community. So it's so many layers of things.
I watched that trailer and I hear you speak about it, or what I've even heard other people say, and I think automatically, or first thing I think is, could it be an algorithm? Could it be something that's being created by all the sources that are putting things on social media and spitting out this Q, this whole the world of Q for the people on this side? And what we're seeing on the other side could be also a culmination of all these other things that's spitting out as the social justice left or the radical left or whatever. And it's not really a he or a she or a they or whatever.
AI.
It's AI.
Dude, very interesting take. Some people theorize that, for example, when Biden said, we're gonna go after anybody on my staff or whatever in government that admitted in public to smoking weed, and we're going to fire them. I think Scott Adams said, does that even sound like a human decision?
Right.
You know, it sounds like the machine is printing out the script as to what to do next.
Yeah, let's see if this let's see where this storyline goes when we know that the VP herself talked about smoking and listening to Tupac before Tupac was a thing.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah.
But anyway, y'all check it out. Let us know.
Yeah.
Send us a message on the Patreon app. Let us know what you think. We only saw the first episode where the dude is interviewing the guy that started 4chan, the guy that started 8chan, really explaining to people like me, how did it begin? Going to interview these people that a lot of them were getting a little bag off of it, off of the little grift, the Q grift.
Yeah.
Like people had, I guess, whole YouTube channels.
Yeah.
Some had YouTube channels that were streaming like 24/7, and it just dealt with Q stuff. So
just an aggregate for it all.
Yeah, and another big thing about this is how freedom of speech plays a role, because I guess Q was kicked off or decided to leave 4chan. Like I guess 8chan, this like Japanese, I believe it was Japanese, this dude that built 8chan, he made it a little bit less restrictive or allowed Q to go on there. I don't know why Q got kicked off of the other ones or decided to leave the other ones. But it's interesting because it's kind of like 8chan. Have you ever been on there?
Dude, never.
Okay. Yeah, they were I've never been on there, but they were describing this 8chan and like how there's just these boards on there and there's just like all these different subjects and a whole bunch of just random weird shit. And it's just like memes and random shit. And yeah, it's super fascinating. It's, the year 2021. 2020 was so interesting. And it's like you have all the ingredients for this little petri dish of some shit like this to come about.
Interesting.
And how it's just being weaponized and used to like I said earlier, they can use it to discredit you, like they did Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Right.
Like I guess she believes some Q shit.
She posted some crazy shit a couple years ago.
So she was on some Q shit, and boom, that alone is like, bitch, you can't do nothing else right because of that. And then these California people that are getting organized, reminding me of Texans. They had little cowboy hats and shit.
Right.
And they were on some independence. And if any of those people remotely posted anything Q-like, I'm sure the media or the left or those local representatives would love to paint them as, oh, don't mind them. They're just crazy militia Q people. And next thing you know, you in the gulags. You can't go to the Giants game. You can't go to a baseball game.
How are you? You didn't really go to live sporting events, right? Well, go ahead.
Our test came back negative.
Oh, fantastic.
Brother. So we good to go. Killeen, we'll see you. And Lubbock, we'll see you. We're going.
No. I was going to ask about live events. Are you weren't very much for like, unless you maybe got an invite, you weren't going out of your way to go to a game, right?
No, baseball game? What kind of game are you talking about?
I like how immediately like,
please
baseball.
Clarify.
Yeah, well, let's say any game, football, basketball, baseball.
No, you got a specific.
Well, baseball season. All right, opening days are among us. Baseball.
Okay, yeah, no. Somebody must dude, we were talking about that.
Okay.
Marisol and I were talking about that. Like, what's the last time we went out of our way to buy baseball tickets?
Is there ever? I mean, is the answer ever?
It was like we went maybe to one game and the tickets were free. They're like, hey, y'all want to come, tweet about the shit? And I was like, all right. You know what I mean? It's like, okay. Me, no, way. They're like, they got beer here. I got beer at home. I could have watched this shit from the house.
I got beer at home.
Right?
Is that just getting old? I mean, honestly, I know you don't give a fuck about baseball. I personally, used to like it, didn't care for it at all, and then I kind of started to like it again once obviously the Astros started doing good, like back to back, this and that. Altuve and the whole gang.
Yeah. They had a squad.
Yeah, that was cool, right?
We was hitting trash cans. We was winning.
The win shit. Fuck you. Say we cheated. Go fuck yourself. But whatever, we won the title,
bitch,
right?
You should have cheated better.
Yeah, like Stone Cold Steve Austin said, if you ain't treating, you ain't trying.
That's what the Democrats say.
Yeah, right. And there you go. Case in point. Caso cerrado. But is it getting older that when you say stuff like that, you think we're like, man, I got this shit at home, or I can just put my feet up and watch this at home?
Well, look, I think it all depends on the situation. Like, if you're taking your kids and you just want the whole overall experience, like if you grew up going to Dodger Stadium and getting a Dodger dog and all this, and you want your kids or your nephews, or you taking your daughter, you know what I mean? Like, you're not so much there for the sport. You're there for the overall experience. Like, we got to park far, and then we got to walk, and the popcorn guy, the beard guy. I get it. There's a lot of other reasons why you would want to go.
I agree. And one example is not last year.
It's just so slow.
I know. I've argued, and I've heard people argue that it should be shorter. It shouldn't be 12 innings. It shouldn't be fucking, anyway.
I thought it was 9.
Oh, it is? Is it 9 innings?
Yeah, that's how much you know about baseball.
Oh my God, I was thinking of over innings. Anyway, we took the kids like 2 years ago. Don was like, hey, I got, her come to give her tickets. It was a good game. It was like Astros versus Red Sox. They had 2 good squads. But the first thing I said was like, they're 4. I don't want to take 4-year-olds to a baseball game.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, come on, it'd be cute. It'd be fun. I want to take pictures.
How was it?
Not only did we got reasonable parking, all right? Like actually at home, like behind home plate across just the way from the stadium. And I was like, okay, as soon as we got there, it was a huge game. Red Sox, Astros, the squads and shit. And we're walking and just, I don't even have anxiety, but walking these fucking 4-year-olds through these crowds of people.
Big crowd.
I was like, dude, all right, guys, stay close. And I end up just carrying them because they're so little. They're premature as it is. So they're smaller than even regular 4-year-olds. We get to our seats. I told her, I was like, this won't go past the 3rd inning. She goes, yes, it will. I said, no, it won't.
Oh, wow.
We get to the 3rd inning, and they have to use the restroom. I said, okay, cool, perfect. You want to just go to the restroom and then leave? She's like, no. We're going to take them to the restroom, and then we'll just stay a little longer.
Back, yeah.
And then we left during the 4th inning. I was like, you did that shit on purpose.
Damn.
And she did, dude. I was like, God damn. And I was like, cool, it was fun. Let's go. The kids were just not having it.
Yeah, because they understand entertainment.
Yeah, and that was not entertainment.
Yeah, they understand entertainment. They're like, nah, this ain't monster trucks. You could have took me.
Yeah.
You could have took me to a Chuck E. Cheese.
Which we've never done.
Really?
You ever been to Chuck E. Cheese?
I used to take my 12-year-old all the time because I was like on some single dad type shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need pizza and games. Find me, if they ain't got games, fine. At least they got pizza. Give me a CC's, something. Because she was just so picky and I'm just a dad. So, Daddy, okay, pizza. And then sometimes I'd be with Marisol and I'd be like, hey, I got my kid. I need to find a pizza place like really quick because she's hungry. And she's like, what? I don't. There's a CC's back there. Okay. But yeah, she's 12 now
and still goes to CC's.
She's still picky. But yo,
funny.
Shout out to Shell Shock CBD, bro.
Sleeping like a baby.
I popped 2 of them Delta 8s last night.
You said after 1, it put you out like nothing.
Well, I don't know. My tolerance is going. I don't know what happened
already.
But I popped 1. And then I was like, I was chill. I felt good. But then I was up. I woke up and shit. I think I had to use the restroom. Then next thing you know, I'm kind of tossing and turning. I said, fuck it. I popped the second one. Let me just say, I woke up like my brain was on the defrag. I literally pictured my brain was just like smoothed over, like rested and just polished.
Okay.
And not shrunken, but I almost feel like there's less inflammation happening. And it was, a beautiful morning, man. I woke up, sun was out, mosquitoes were out too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to shout out Shell Shock CBD. Highly recommend it. If CBD and stuff like that is not part of your system for recovery and inflammation and all that, it's 2021. I don't know what you're doing. I would definitely recommend it as a system. Shell Shock CBD, promo code Chingo. Get 10% off.
And there's where the drop would come in. You just have the button. Or you could say it, whatever. In the news, furthermore, actually, have you looked up anything further when it comes to the borders or the wall situation about what Majorca or anybody has said about rebuilding it, restarting it, filling these gaps and what have you?
Yeah, from the little bit that I've heard, obviously they're pitching it as we just need to plug some gaps. We're going to plug a couple gaps. The funny thing is, that's literally what Trump was doing. Trump was trying to fill the gaps. You know what I'm saying? He called it build the wall. But a lot of this build the wall shit was really plugging up some gaps and fixing some old wall as he was trying to continue to get the rest of the wall funded. And now here you go. Joseph Biden is now wanting to finish Trump's racist wall. How do you think, Latino Democrats, the raza, the orale, you pinche sellout, people that call me a sellout, how do you think they feel knowing that their president is building a wall?
Have you seen anybody have any interesting takes from anybody on the left or anybody even close to that circle of...
Man, they're not talking about
super wokes. Nobody, right?
They're not talking about it.
Not a single person. I haven't a single one.
I mean, George Lopez put something on his story like the other day.
About the wall?
No, it wasn't.
No, that was the kids thing, right?
It was like, regardless of president, this is bad.
That's it. And it wasn't even his own words. It was like it was a repost of another...
from the Fools Gone Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm doing.
Crickets. But hey, I am the coconut. I am the sellout. That's an option. If you like freedom, if you like independence and shit like that, we're going to make patriotism cool. We're going to make that shit cool again because a lot of people try to make it racist.
Yeah.
They try to paint it as racist. So that's why I purposely wore this hat today.
Look at you. And
just to trigger y'all, man.
Well, our patrons are going to love it. These clips are going to trigger people.
Yeah, let's trigger people.
When are people going to be able to get those shirts you're wearing?
Actually, this blue one is not out, but there's a black one that is on my website, chingobling.com. Or on the road, come to a show.
Tell a friend.
Yes, sir. So, the wall. I heard that, I think it was Informant Anthony posted 19,000 migrant children crossed in the month of March. And that April is expected to be more. So, kids are, I don't even know where they're putting all these kids. San Diego Convention Center, Dallas Convention Center.
San Antonio.
You got all these different, you got people under the bridge. You putting people on buses. It's just a shit show down at the border.
Yeah. And I saw a huge statistic, which I'm trying to pull up right now, of how many people have crossed since the beginning of the year. Do you want to take a guess?
I think it was like 100,000 or some shit. What was it?
And this is from NPR, so this is by no means on the right. More than 170 migrants.
170,000?
Yep.
170,000 migrants, 2021, pretty much at the beginning of Joseph Breezy's term.
Oh, that was just March.
Oh, that was just in March?
More than 170 migrants were taken to custody southwest border in the month of March, the highest monthly total since 2006.
God
damn.
Man, can you send me that or screenshot it or something?
Yeah. And the reason I brought it up, the number-wise, is because there's one here in San Antonio where they're having issues where kids are being, what is it? I'll pull it up right now, guys. Give me a second.
Kids are being what, bro?
Hey, cálmate.
You can't just leave it on that kind of cliffhanger.
Yeah, you're right.
Kids are being, well, never mind, you guys.
It's not funny, but also,
hey, if this was in the Trump era, they would have finished that sentence.
More than 1,300 migrant children are being held at the Coliseum, the stadium, where sexual abuse is alleged.
In San Antonio?
In San Antonio. And so Governor Abbott's already said he's asked the president, shut this shit down because, or to put them into federal buildings and not state, and not also buildings that they're fucking organizing, like what do you get, how many people, it's all like, not privately, but in a sense it's privately run or it's privately organized. It's not federally organized
so these convention centers are not open for business. Like they're not having conferences and all that. They're housing migrant babies during a pandemic.
Right.
Awesome. Congratulations. Congratulations, Democrats. Y'all won.
Yeah.
Y'all won. Everything's shut down. A lot of motherfuckers can't, I don't know what the rules are in different states, but some people can't go to the gym. They can't get haircuts. They can't go get a cheeseburger. But, You can't go to the convention center because that's occupied. Yo, I started watching this documentary, and it ties into all this.
Sure.
A documentary about Guatemala on, was that Amazon Prime, I think?
Okay.
I started watching it, and they're talking about, you know, all the like MS-13 and 18th Street. That's like the two big gang rivals down there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was the 70s and the 80s. A lot of these Central American countries were having a civil war.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I guess these like Guatemalan or Central American folks that lived in LA that were up to no good in gangs and shit, they got all those mañas that they learned from the streets. And when they got deported and sent back to Central America, I guess after the Civil War, the U.S. was like, hey, man, y'all got to take some of these people back. They brought that gang culture to Central America. So now they're extorting little small business shop owners like, hey, bitch, you going to give me some money every week, every month, or else that's your ass. We killing you. People having to do 18 murders to be considered like a sicario, a hitman for 18th Street. And they followed this one dude around who was like the neighborhood 18th Street gang leader. And he'd send like his little helper to go collect the money from all the different shop owners, like extortion, all kind of crime, murders. Oh, the cops, bro. Pobrecitos. The cops, they have to work like 11 days and then they're off 6 days. So they're away from their families more than they're with them. And they all got to share one bulletproof vest.
Damn.
They got to pass that whole around. And then there's a dude who's like almost like a weapons salesman, like all the tactical, like knives and bulletproof vests and shit, like flashlights, a bunch of cool shit. He pulls up to the police house. It's like a little like fireman. That's kind of how they do it. And he sells them shit. He's like, hey, this is all the stuff that the government can't provide. They have one cop car. And that bitch is like, so I guess they had two, but one of them was like all shot up and the tires are flat and it's been waiting for 2 years to get repaired. It's just sitting there. So they got one cop car, bro. And you got, Guatemala's like one of the, I think Guatemala City has like the high homicide rates, like a shit show, like some third world shit. And you can see why people getting tired of the violence, getting extorted, getting taxed, getting terrorized by these gangs and shit. You can see why they want to bounce. The economy ain't shit. They're over there trying to stack up their quetzales and shit. The quetzal ain't popping like the dollar. Very sad situation, bro.
Yeah, and I know it gets brought up, but you know, the conversation should be brought up more is what is going on in these countries and what exactly can be done to improve them, right? Like, I don't think we hear that enough, and by no means do we have the answer to that, but...
No, the Democrats, they love talking about that.
They do love talking about it, but just the media in general, like all the write-ups and all of the hypothesizing that they do doesn't ever really mention what these places could do, or what even we could do as Americans and as the baddest bitch on the planet to help rather than hinder these countries' growths?
Well, I'd argue that when Trump was being stern and saying, don't even come up here, bro. Don't even, you might as well get about the caravan now.
Well, that definitely disincentivized people.
Yeah, and not only does it disincentivize people to make that trek and that journey because of the Stay in Mexico agreement, but also it kind of forces folks from these countries to think, okay, for example, they got some militias down there that are fighting back against the gangs to help protect the communities. So, for example, I guess that's an option, right?
Right.
Fuck, we can't join the caravan. We might as well hold it down right here.
Fuck.
But I'd argue that, you know, Trump's rhetoric and what he was doing to disincentivize people, it might have forced people to think, okay, are we going to another country for refuge? Are we going to stay and deal with our own shit? But I know a lot of the woke, like indigenous studies type of people, like, orale, this is stolen land type of folks.
Right.
I'm sure they look at it like, well, if the United States government never went down and destabilized Central American economies with their economic hitmen and the corporateocracy, then maybe Julio and Maria could maintain and stay in Guatemala and not have to join the journey of the caravans. So
that's some good slam poetry.
Easier said than done.
I will not participate in those claps.
Snap claps.
I found myself in a rabbit hole the other day, and I want to take more notes and kind of read more to fully understand. So, going off of what you said, the people that talk about, the people that own this land versus who took it from who and how long, who's been here longest and who was here first, and starting with the United States, when you talk about Native Americans, right? It's always that's what we hear, and that is true to an extent. And then more recently, findings have shown that, like, there was a particular group of people, a particular tribe. I think it was like the Clover or Cover, I forgot what the name was, tribe who were said to be the earliest people in the United States land, right? Came from the Bering Strait, came through the ice and all that jazz after it melted or whatever. But there's findings of other genomes and other tribe types that don't match those people that could have possibly been here sooner or in other parts of the United States before that tribe that, go back to China, Europe, and other places.
Mongolia.
Yeah. So it's not as cut and dry still, because new things are being found that you stole this land from Native Americans, and because people will send videos of white people protesting about immigration or anybody protesting about immigration, and then you'll have Native Americans yelling at them, well, we were here before everybody, right? Like, okay, yes, kind of, sort of, maybe, but also, what do you really say to that, right? When somebody says, this isn't your land, this was stolen a long time ago from Native Americans or from somebody. When did that cycle start initially? I don't think we'll ever know, or we know yet, but this land has always been somebody's before somebody else's, then taken. I don't know how to combat that conversation. Like, we can only work within the parameters that we're in now. And make it better for the future, because we are starting to understand things of the past that aren't the best and are ever changing, honestly, off of things that archaeologists find and bones and skulls and shit, shrubbery even, and trees. I don't know. It was an interesting conversation, and I was reading about this for like 2 days.
No shit. Yeah. So you were reading about
the first people,
the origins,
of the United States.
Yeah, because some people would argue that like Africans had already visited the Americas, like we're already, I don't want to say colonizing and posting up and trading. Might want to go down that rabbit hole and then let me know.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. So yeah, man, that Guatemala situation is something else. I forget what it's called, but it's on Amazon. I think it's on Amazon Prime. Interesting, man. You just see a firsthand glimpse of, like, the destabilization. Civil wars suck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Civil wars suck. They had a man on there who had all 4 sons murdered different times due to gang activity.
Yeah.
So it's like, I lost this when he was 18. He's just there at the, the cemetery.
Yeah.
And he's just like, okay, you see this guy, he almost made it to 24. And mijo, I got another one buried over there. And it's like, bro, they didn't. And he said, I guess a dude that works at the, the cemetery. He's like, it's rare that you see us burying old people. He's like, it's not even old people. It's like several funerals a day, all youngsters, 14, 16, 18. Just, they bought that gangster life.
And learning about all that stuff is really interesting because, again, like, speaking for myself, I don't come from a place where I'm like, I know everything about everything. I come from a place where I want to know everything about everything. I always look at subjects and try to investigate and just get a really good idea so I can form a good opinion about stuff. And the immigration thing, if you keep going back, before Reagan and before all that, you kind of, if you've never known, never read, heard or read that there used to be a better relationship with the United States and Mexico when it came to immigration, right? And I think it was post World War II where we didn't have enough laborers or people to do things like farm or do any other things because of the war. So Mexicans, or people from Mexico would come and they'd work and they'd go back, and it's kind of like that was the way we make it. I make a trek here to work, they would make a trek across the border to work and then go back, and that was cool. And then somewhere along the lines, something happened to that relationship between the two countries.
Yeah. I think they would call them the Bracero program or something like that. Braceros. And Cesar Chavez, who they have a bust, right? A little statue of Cesar Chavez in the White House now. Now, the Democrats are in there, and they using Cesar Chavez as the symbol for diversity and la raza and this and that. However,
that is the AI also making that sign there. Like, the AI is like, this, let's put this in there. It's like kind of contradicts.
Needs a Latino bust. So Cesar Chavez, his stance on immigration, which a lot of people don't know, I didn't really know up until probably maybe a year ago, his stance on immigration varies. I mean, it's night and day to what maybe the Democrats want to do. So obviously, Cesar Chavez, his main goal was he was a union leader for farm worker rights, American farm workers. So he didn't like the Bracero program. He didn't like cheap labor fucking up his strikes, because he had all these farm workers, and they wanted leverage. They wanted to negotiate certain terms, and he would say like, okay, guess what's going to happen to your strawberries or your grapes and your cosecha, your harvest? Watch what's going to happen when we all go on strike. And then the landowners, they'd be like, watch what happens when we bring some Mexicans from Mexico. These are Mexicans, not whatever the fuck y'all are. And so Cesar Chavez supposedly, allegedly would call the migra on immigrants that were out there trying to work, fucking up his strike, fucking up what he was trying to do for the union. His number one goal was, take care of the people of the union. It wasn't La Raza. It wasn't, people from Mexico and we're all brown. And what Cesar Chavez was about when it came to immigration, it was nothing like these little woke kids. These little, the ones that have, the Raza, they got BLM in their bio. They got his, her, they.
His, her, she,
they call me a sellout. They call me a coconut. I hope y'all understand what Cesar Chavez was about, because, he wasn't about a whole bunch of illegal immigrants, undocumented people. Supposedly, man, he got violent with them. Supposedly, he had like a little crew, and they would terrorize these folks, like shoot at them, like beat them up, burn. I think they burned houses or some shit. Look into that. I might be giving y'all fake news right now, but I could have swore it. I think Jesse Lexit Movement posted about it. And before I forget, Turning Point USA DM'd Marisol, and then she was like, you might want to check your DMs, because they might have DM'd you too. And sure enough, man, Turning Point USA invited us out to Phoenix. They have an event. I think it's like April. It's like right around the corner, man.
Word?
Yeah,
hey,
here
RPT,
it's at this.
The TIA's in the house.
It's at this thing, April 18th. It's a Young Latino Leadership Summit, Turning Point USA. They have Senator Ted Cruz going to be there, Jesse Holguin, Anna Paulina, whole bunch of people.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. I don't want to be too partisan and just get categorized like, oh, Chingo Bling, he one of them Turning Point. I don't know a whole lot about it.
It's a
put our face in the place.
Right, put your face in the place. It's an interesting gesture from that organization to reach out and see what you're doing and what's going on and the people you're reaching and the message you're spreading. So again, we say how we don't want to be, what was the fucking partisan brain that we talked about earlier?
Yeah, everybody's somewhat biased no matter what, but go on.
Well, with that said, we still have to choose a side on everything, right? Like on that same episode, Rogan plays a clip from
Dan Crenshaw?
No. What? Well, it was on Crenshaw's show on episode, but it was a black comedian, not Chappelle. Not Chris Tucker.
What is he about? What is he talking about?
Chris Rock, sorry.
Okay.
He had a joke about politics or whatever. It was a really great joke where he's like, I'm conservative on some things and I'm liberal on others. Crime, pretty conservative. Prostitution, pretty liberal. It's a funny joke. And that the whole setup and the whole thing was genius, but we all have that, right? Like we all have things that we go on both sides, but you tend to pick one and that's what you believe in. All together, when you bring it together, it is what it is. He kept using this term of like classical liberal and, the different things that, that was versus what liberalism means now versus 20, 30, 40 years ago. But as a whole, a lot of things tend to make sense when you talk about things that libertarians or conservatives or Republicans tend to talk about versus a lot of the things that the left talks about. Just as a whole, if you put them all in a bucket and you take them out and you're like, I'm going to put this here and there, you would get a lot more common sense on this side than you do on that side. And that's just me talking. So with those organizations, they tend to cover a lot of the issues that are on the common sense side and tell the young Latinos or young people in general, they're like, hey, man, let's wrap our minds around this and then just contrast it with what's coming out of that camp.
I like how when we had Chris Irons on the podcast from a podcast host from Quoth the Raven, he said one political party is always going to be better at, did he say asset allocation?
Maybe.
Or capital allocation. It's one of those, but he says one of the two parties is going to be better at capital allocation, meaning running things more efficiently. For example, like the free market, whether it's UPS, FedEx versus the United States Postal Service.
Right.
Basically saying the Democrats, their math ain't as good. You know, they don't factor in human nature and incentives. Like if you get on TV and you say we should be able to absorb all the downtrodden and we should be able to absorb them and take care of them because that's who we are as Americans.
Yeah.
And then the caravans come. Now you got a shit show at the border, and it's like, fuck, I didn't factor in human nature, and they took me literal. I was just trying to win and get votes and fucking please these suburban white moms because they want somebody that's like me, but y'all really came. Why? Because you need to factor in human nature. You need to look at incentives. That's why when Trump was approaching the situation, he says, I need to call Mexico. They need to maintain in Mexico. You need to stay in Mexico. We're going to process you, see who you are, what you're about, and then we'll see if we're going to accept you into the country. All these different economic, like, I will put tariffs on you, Mexico, if you don't help me out. How to disincentivize people, like a wall. You know, don't send your kids up here unaccompanied, so on and so forth. When you say common sense, it's like, well, common sense ain't that common.
Absolutely. You're right.
So the way I interpret, like when you say a lot of these issues, if you sort them out, whether, hey, how this Democratic candidate will approach this issue of unemployment or the economy or foreign policy, and then how this, let's just say this Republican, right? This is all hypothetical. It's almost like common sense in a way means what is a more effective system that's going to factor in human nature and things like that, like especially when dealing with like taxes and the economy and how it might sound good, like, yes, we need to have we need to tax the rich and we need this minimum wage and we need open borders because we got to be nice and all those things. It's like, oh shit, climate change, like, it sounds cool, green, I want to be green. But then if you look at it, like, okay, have you really dug into the details of nuclear? For example, I heard the Biden administration, supposedly they're gonna build some of that new clean nuclear energy, and you got to give them props. That's one thing I'm gonna give these Biden, whoever his squad is, give them props for looking into nuclear. I don't know if Trump didn't have a chance or they fought him, or I'm kind of iffy on those details. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to who are the Democrats gonna run and who are the Republicans gonna run? Because there's some full of shit Republicans, and there's some decent Democrats out there.
Mm-hmm. That reminded me of when you were talking about, I mentioned this on the last episode, on the Public episode, because you brought up Chris Irons, the Dave Collum professor that he had on from, where is it from? Cornell. He has spoken and written a lot about climate change. And I have it bookmarked. I haven't read it yet. I want to go read his writings on it. And apparently, a lot of the people that he has talked to, these are some people that have just basically been blackballed from the internet and from schools, have written ad nauseum of how climate change is a complete horseshit. It's complete shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that...
A lot. And it's really interesting. There's so many things to fucking read and think about, right, guys? But that's one of the things, along with like immigration or these voting right bills and laws that are getting passed that people are up in arms about, that just seems like, again, common sense. And you keep digging into it, and it's just like, there's so much evidence here where you would think people wouldn't be as, the world's going to end in 8 years if we don't do something about the polar ice caps or something.
It's common sense depending on, for example, it could be common sense to one person, but maybe not to the next. So if you're not well versed in economics, you know what I'm saying? If depending on what lens or filter you use to view the world,
sure,
you might dig into, let's just say, the Paris Climate Accord. You might dig into it, but if you know very little about the bureaucracy and why the fuck is India and China still allowed to pollute, and they're not sticking to their end of the agreement, and meanwhile America and our jobs, they're on our ass because we're on this fucking Paris Climate Accord. They're not keeping their end of the deal. Like, if you don't factor in all that, you might just be like, Paris Climate Accord sounds good. We should join.
Well, that is the example of what you just said, and you've said before in previous episodes, is my problem with a lot of what goes on with people my age and younger, and just across the spectrum, really. The aversion to just go the extra mile of learning and listening and investigating further than a caption or a couple of words. Paris Climate Accord, I'm in.
Yeah.
There's such an aversion for knowledge or information that people just want to yell about the first thing they read because I don't know, it's appealing, I guess, right? It gets people, it razzes people up and it gets everybody going.
I'd imagine that now, around this time, is perfect opportunity to dig into some of this shit because a lot of motherfuckers ain't working. A lot of shit ain't open.
Yeah.
I mean, I know 2020 was definitely a turning point. Not Turning Point USA. It was definitely a turning point for Marisol and I because the hypocrisy was at an all-time high. The debate between do you fund the police or do you defund the police? Like,
what is you saying?
I mean, law and order, right? Law and order. And by the grace of God, I saw these hoaxes get debunked. I saw how faulty the mainstream media was. I mean, now they're getting caught left and right lying and shit. They lied on Governor DeSantis.
The 60 Minutes, man.
Yeah, 60 Minutes. Who's that, CBS?
Yes.
I think CBS is CIA. Real talk. They say, allegedly.
Allegedly.
But anyway, there's really powerful persuasion being used against us. You know, the game is set up to where they've been able to lie. They've been able to get paid off these lies, profit off the clickbait, generate their little online traffic. When it's time to retract or redact, they just issue a little apology nobody reads, but the lie has already been circulating.
Or they double down the way 60 Minutes is. They're doubling down on what they edited, and they're going in on why it's, you know, not fake news and whatever the fuck, but it's just like, it's too late, man. You've been caught.
I'm sure half of the people that even heard about this fiasco, I'm sure half are like, oh yeah, they lied on Trump. They're just lying on this guy now.
But the other half is like, DeSantis is an idiot. Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
I see that
because of the way they frame things. And if you're getting your news from certain sources, they beat you to the punch and they assign you an opinion before you even have a chance to make one on your own.
Yeah.
So they'll spin it. They'll make it sound, he received donations from Publix. Dun, dun, dun. Smoking gun. He decided to issue out vaccines from Publix. Dun, dun, dun.
Dummies, man.
And it's like,
dummies.
Okay, he sat there and explained.
It's $100,000. It was $100,000. You think you're gonna buy off a governor with $100,000?
I mean, these days, bro, it's just one political party trying to shit on the other.
It is.
And vice versa. And then you got the news getting involved. And then you have intelligence agencies, possibly spies from other countries, influencing a lot of these columnists, open letters and opinion pieces.
Yeah.
And it's a big shit show because our educational system ain't great. Critical thinking ain't shit no more. We don't understand economics. We don't understand human motivation. We just kind of, a lot of us, we dumb. A lot of us fucking ain't got time. You know, like during the Trump era, I was too busy working. I was too busy flying around, touring, doing shows. I ain't had time to pay attention to fucking dig down into what the fuck Trump was doing. I just kept hearing he was racist. He was doing a bunch of negative shit. And I was busy working. And then the virus from, you know, where? El virus. You know, that changed the game. I started hearing these hoaxes getting debunked. And I'm like, damn, he really didn't say that? Why'd they cut that out? And then I'm like, damn, I kind of don't trust these news networks no more. And then they're showing rioting and Antifa acting a fool. And all these politicians are just like, well, you know, people are going to do what they do. And who said protesting needs to be peaceful? And they doing it in the name of social justice. And I'm like, who are these Antifa motherfuckers?
The crazier part, too, to all this is when you hear, like, what was it, Coke and Apple and Delta. Yeah, I don't know if Delta, but I know like Apple in particular and Coke lobbying against some of these laws or bills that would help like the weaker people. But they're really quick to shit on what happened in Georgia, which was nothing. They just passed a couple of revisions on this voting law, right? And they're just still up in arms about the voting, the showing the ID, and having to put your either a copy of or your number of your ID when you mail in the ballot. Like, I don't understand how that could be a thing.
Well, the way they spin it is they say, by asking people to produce ID, you're disproportionately hurting the black community and people of color. Because of these rules, you now have less people participating in the democratic system. It's like, okay, do y'all know anybody that don't have ID? Do y'all know any United States citizens that ain't got no ID? If you do know someone, did they ever want to vote?
Did they ever want a job? How about that?
Yeah, did they ever
want to drive?
I mean, obviously you need an ID to do a lot of shit, but it's like, how many people in Georgia don't have ID? Why haven't, check this out. Excellent point I heard. You know how the news loves to find the person that's the face of the story? Like,
yes.
If the story is about immigration, we're here, Robert, what is going on? What is your take?
Right.
They love finding a person. Like, they would love more than anything to find just people everywhere. Ma'am, come here. Ma'am, did you hear about the voter ID law? Yes, I did. And it's hurting me because I don't have ID and I would love to vote. And I'm very upset with this law. Why haven't they found nobody? Why haven't they put nobody on TV that's like, hey, here we have another. Sir, come here. What is your name? Hi, my name is Roderick Jones. I also don't have an ID and I would love to vote. And this is very unfair. Where are the non-ID people? Why haven't they put them on TV to be like, okay, so what's keeping you from getting ID? An Uber ride and $30? Actually, you could do it online.
The IDs are free. They're not even talking about licenses you pay for, but IDs, government IDs are free.
And don't you get one when you're like 16 or something like that, 18? Like
yeah, and you get school IDs. Go change that school ID for a state ID.
I mean, any lefties tuning in, any Democrats tuning in, let me know. Maybe there's something I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted to pull out the video real quick, but it'll take too long with this bullshit ass internet. Just kidding, it's getting better.
Yeah, we did call AT&T, and then the next step is we then have to call for a technician to come out here so that they can move the location of the router.
Orale.
So it's way up in the front of the house by the TV. We need to put that bitch back here.
Orale. I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick. We're staying on the subject here of voting, right? Can't find it real quick.
You gonna make me take a leak while you find it?
Oh, great! Did you see that meme that was made about you taking a leak? Oh, great! I'm gonna pull it up as soon as you finish taking your leak yet again. And shout out to Gabe who made that meme. Here I am again, guys. There's at least one point in the conversation where Chingo has to take a piss or forget something. Maybe he got water this time, but it's always take a leak. And somebody said something real funny that I'll say when he gets back about his constant needing to get up in the middle of shows. It's not like we do Rogan-esque, 3 hours, which we do. We just don't do them in one show. It's like maybe back to back or take a break here and there. But he can't get through the hour or the hour and a half that we do sometimes without taking a leak. You just got to squeeze. You got to squeeze. You got to tighten up. You tighten the fuck up, bro. This is a real emergency because it's taking longer than usual for him to get back. And
the lab is getting bigger.
Is that what it is, or is it getting smaller?
Well, man, I think it's mental, a lot of it.
So here, I got to show you this meme real quick. I'll pull it up. I'll read it just because I think it stole my story from yesterday. Rob GTV, Real Chingo Bling. Rob coming in on track, ready to podcast. Chingo wanting a water bottle and needing to take a piss.
Yeah, there it is.
The train just demolishing the conversation.
We're officially memeable.
Yeah, right? Somebody else said, has he had his prostate checked?
My wife checks my prostate every Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
You got it on schedule. You got it on schedule.
Vieja, la próstata.
Has he had his prostate checked, or is the timing of the schedule for him just synced while you guys record?
Yeah, no, I have not gotten my prostate checked.
Oh shit! All right,
just on weekends by my wife.
That's hilarious. It was It was Will Witt from PragerU going on the streets. I don't know if it was Georgia or where it was, but he was asking people like about voter ID, right? And they ask a bunch of white kids, you know, just people on college campuses, you could tell. Do you think the showing ID is racist, whatever, or what do you think about it? He's like, yeah, it's not cool, you know, it's not right. Like, why would they do that, right? It's limiting people that can vote, right? And then they go, you can tell there's subways, they're on the street somewhere else, and they're asking a bunch of black people and brown people, you think voter ID is suppression? He's like, nah. Do you know where the DMV is? Like, yeah, it's like 43rd and 2nd or whatever. He's like, everyone's telling where it's at. Like, they seem to know where it is. They seem to not think it's a problem. And that's the thing that's so funny and mind-boggling about it all.
Who made that clip?
I think it was PragerU. I'm pretty sure it was PragerU. And they did one with the Mexican appropriation. He had a hat and a mustache and a sarape on, I think. And he was asking kids on campuses, white kids, other kids, Asian kids even, I think, is this cultural appropriation? Is this racist that I'm wearing this? And they're like, yeah, like that's not your culture. You shouldn't be wearing that, right? Yeah. And then he goes to the mercado in whatever city he's in. He's like, no, you look handsome, you know, and all this like fun, just like jovial. Like, it's just like, what are we talking about here with a lot of this shit? And the last person he asks, he's like, you know where I got this from? He's like, no, like from the Mexicans at the mercado. They love it. They sold it to me. They think it's great. Anybody can wear this.
I have to watch that one. One because, like, for example, you just finished saying, like, what are we talking about here? Like, how did we arrive at this point to where everyone's so easily offended? Mm-hmm. And what I took away from that was, like, some folks have a habit of getting offended on behalf of others.
Sure.
So let's watch this real quick.
Hola amigos, this is Will Witt with PragerU. Today we're at UCLA talking to college students and
the mustache is overkill.
Talking to Hispanics in honor of Halloween and to see if my outfit is offensive.
Kind of, I can see.
Would you guys like to chat with us today?
That's cultural
No?
appropriation.
That's what we want to talk to you about. Hola.
Man, he's
find my outfit offensive?
He's going to give PragerU a bad name with this shit.
Yeah.
You find it offensive?
This is a bit antagonistic.
Maybe a little.
Do you think my outfit is offensive?
Are you Mexican?
No.
Yes.
I think it reaffirms stereotypes that are offensive to people.
I mean, I could see...
think people really think Mexican people are like this and carry around marachas?
No, I don't think people actually think that.
Do you find my outfit offensive?
Yes.
Go ahead while I fast forward it to the...
Yeah, while we let it buffer. To describe this guy, all right, he's obviously a white boy with a big old glued-on mustache, a big old Aztec calendar, sarape, and a really stereotypical big ass sombrero. So I can totally see why people on this campus are reacting this way. I could totally see. I mean, you don't see that?
I like you.
You don't see
your
how.
Mustache. Do you? Mostly.
Does my outfit offend you?
You look no. You look nice.
Thank you. Do you like my costume?
Yes.
Does it offend you?
¿Es ofensivo? No. No, nothing. That's good.
Oh, nos vale madre, más que nada.
Guapo?
This is guapo. This is beautiful.
Beautiful. Acabo. Are you guys insulting me?
I know exactly where he is.
Insulting me in Spanish? Do you like my outfit?
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Does my outfit offend you?
No, not at all.
Some people get offended by what I'm wearing.
No, it's not. It's not offensive. I think it's you're in the right atmosphere.
Yeah. Lo único dice de mostacho, no original.
No original.
Yeah,
give it to me.
I personally like the voter ID one better. only because 9 out of 10 people are gonna interpret it.
He did call it a costume though. You know.
Yeah, but still though, it's like it's one of those where it's like, okay, it's Halloween. You could have been anything. You could have dressed up as anything. But the way people see it is you're dressing up as somebody's culture. It's almost like saying, I'm an Asian man. Like, what are you? I'm an Asian man. Like, I've got, see, my nunchucks. And
what about people that have, and this is a serious question, what about people that have like dreads or braids or cornrows or whatever? Like, is that, because that is also the same thing. Like, that is our culture. Like, why you shouldn't have dreads or braids or cornrows.
Whose culture is that?
Exactly. Whose culture is that? If I said it, what was the first?
I mean, it sounds more like a black hairstyle.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
People get up in arms about that as well.
So okay. So let me interpret what you're saying. So you're saying people get offended if a non-black person wears cornrows.
Yeah, or has dreads. That happens all the time. Yeah. And that's just like a hairstyle that you're going to wear for more than just an event or a day.
Yeah. I could see, I don't know, man. I could see how this PragerU video, maybe, I don't know, if it was even like as effective.
I'm not trying to change your mind. I was just curious. Yeah. I'm not by any means trying to change your mind.
I'm saying this. I'm not surprised that if you go on this little college campus with these little millennials, and they're going to look at it like, bro, you're not Mexican, and you got on this fake-ass Mexican outfit. So I'm not surprised. I almost see it like it's a waste of time. And then he goes to the Mercado area to ask Mexicans what they think, and they don't want to offend him. Yeah. So, of course, they're just kind of like, oh, no, you look good, amigo.
But isn't it funny that what you just said was their take of it, of the people in the Mercado, and the take of the people at the campuses was, I don't give a fuck what you're going to feel. I'm going to tell you that that's not cool on behalf of these other people. Why is that same sentiment not what is spoken or you know, I don't know, thought about from the young millennial white kids? Why do they have to take on what they think is the burden of offense from somebody else? Isn't that weird?
I mean, I think to them it's clearly offensive. That's how they see it. How they see it. This is probably how they see it. Sir, all right, you're from PragerU. You're white. You obviously got on this goofy ass, put together, thrown together outfit. They might even think, I have Latina and Latino friends who I feel for them that, you know, they wear Vans and fucking skinny jeans and shit. And you over here saying that this is all they are. So on behalf of my friends, we ain't fucking with your costume.
Yeah. True. Fine. Mm-hmm. All fair and fine. Again, I just like having this conversation.
Yeah.
If, like I was saying earlier, people that get offended on behalf of something, when you said he goes to Mercado and the people are like, they don't want to, the older Mexican, the people, if you're not watching on video, the people he was talking to, older, Latin, Hispanic, Mexican people, if, like you said, they didn't want to offend him, the white boy that came in wearing that stuff, they were just being nice and like, oh, that's what he's wearing today or whatever he's doing. That's cool. Let's just tell him it rocks and, you know, rock on and see you later. Mm-hmm. The white kids, on the other hand, don't take the same sentiment of like, oh, I see what he's doing. You know, it's just like, but I'd rather get up in arms and let you know how stupid you look and that's offensive and you're a piece of shit.
Well, think about it. If somebody sticks a camera in your face and says, is my costume offensive? That's already like you setting them up.
Sure.
It's like you're going to be more inclined to play it safe and say, I'm going to go ahead and go with that's not appropriate.
But play it safe. That's the term. Why is playing it safe saying that it is offensive or racist?
Yeah, because saying, I don't give a fuck about your sombrero and your sarape and your fake mustache, it might get misconstrued as, are you not sensitive to the plight of your fellow, you know?
And the answer is no, I'm not. It's a funny costume. Personally, obviously, just me.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought that was a fun one to just kind of
I mean, I just feel like, you know, the culmination of everything that has been drilled in our culture, especially those young millennials, they've already been indoctrinated. You know, there's propaganda everywhere. Cartoon Network. I mean, you got woke culture. You got cancel culture. So, you know, while the left is trying to weaponize the victimhood of people of color, reminding them that they're victims, reminding them this is a white man's world. All that's been weaponized to where if you're a 19-year-old college student, PragerU comes, sticks a camera in your face, and they're like, look at my costume. What do you think about it? It's like, I'm going to go with offensive.
Okay, let's just scenario here that this season's Vogue magazine, Maxim magazine, had a cover of this spring's hottest items, which was a sarape and a fucking whatever.
Yeah.
A Sancho satchel. Mm-hmm. Would it then be appropriate for the people that were offended to say, oh, no, that's cool. I saw it on Vogue or I saw it on Maxim. Like, that's what's in style right now.
Well, first, let me say that the way he was presenting the costume, I would have been thrown off. My first thing would have been like, well, first of all, are you even trying? Like, first of all, it's cheesy.
Yeah,
like,
super cheesy.
First of all, you were kind of lazy in the costume department. Do I think it's a great costume? No. I think it's a whack costume.
Yeah.
Do I feel like it's somehow, I don't know. I'm sure maybe some people would be offended, but I think just, you know, like when you ask a survey question, it's all in how you ask it, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're presenting, it's almost like, bro, your fucking mustache is cheesy. Like, I mean,
See,
I don't know.
Those would no. You're right. Those would have been better, in my opinion. That would have been a better response. Like, I don't know. Just it seems lazy. Like,
a Mexican guy. Like, that's a costume.
Right.
I'm a Mexican guy.
Right. That would have been a better response than the outrage. Like, you have a glued on, which literally was falling off. Like, your mustache is falling off.
Yeah.
And it looks like
try harder.
Yeah. Like, if you want to make a point, that would have been a better way to come at it as an educated somebody on a college campus,
or a specific Mexican. Like, I'm a bandido. Like,
I'm Pancho Villa,
a revolutionary soldier from the Mexican. Yeah. Not just, hey, maracas.
Right. Like I said at the beginning, it's super antagonistic.
Yeah.
But the response of the kids or the people is what's interesting to me. It's like, man, you're supposed to be at a college. Let's say it's a prestigious campus. Why was the rebuttal or the response not more educated?
I think it's because they want, those kids, they want to be decent people. They want to be perceived as decent people. And I guess in their mind, you're a good person if you're speaking up for others and saying, no, that's cultural. In their book, it's cultural appropriation.
Yeah, but speaking up for others is what we always make fun of. All the Karens and the white people that are outraged for the Chinese, for the blacks, for the Mexicans, right? Like, that's what is not fun, funny, or a good approach. It's like you're a fucking Karen who's virtue signaling and outraged for somebody else, versus having the educated ability to say, try harder, not as great. You know, I'm not going to be outraged for Mexicans, but also, like, that's not a very good way to make your point.
Yeah. Or you should have been more specific.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do better, PragerU. Now, they do pretty good, solid stuff most of the time.
Yeah, they do great stuff, but that one, I just feel like it's cool for content purposes, and I'm curious what the comments are.
I didn't even read them. I should have.
But as y'all can see, even Rob and I have like a different take on like
totally.
Like, if you wanted to conduct it as a real experiment, you might want to have made it more of like
should have been planned out better.
It's just, I don't know.
They're like, hey, we don't have a lot going on this day. What do you want to do?
I'm borderline offended. I'm borderline offended that y'all went to Party City and just Amazon.com and just typed in Mexican costume.
And that's what they got?
Like, at least be Pancho Villa. Be somebody specific. Be like something.
Ooh, all right, let's end on this. If you were to type in Mexican costume on Amazon, what would you expect to get? Let's say you didn't know what was in the box. It was just a mystery box. And
what he was wearing.
Exactly what he's getting.
Yeah.
Just a shitty, lazy costume.
I know we got to do a Chingo chats.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I know you guys, have y'all seen the clip of Alex Jones visiting the McAllen and border facilities?
Yeah, if you haven't, pull them up. We'll probably still talk about this because this is the first clip I've seen of him at the border, right? I don't think.
Yeah, that's
so. He's
Alex
probably
Jones.
got a lot of other stuff is going to be coming out. He's probably got all the people, all the resources. I got FBA. He said I've got inside working in there that are getting the material together, and we're exposing all this. So I'm sure we see other things.
I had a hard time understanding what he was accusing them of, because I saw one clip where it looked more like a city type of setting, where it was supposedly a Catholic charity vehicle, and it was like one or two adults in the front, and they like crammed a bunch of kids in the back without car seats and shit, and they were just kind of in their face like, hey, this is illegal, and you got kid, what organization are you with, what's your name, and where are you taking these kids, and da. And I'm like, okay, is he accusing them of like they sex trafficking these kids, or are they accusing them of sneaking them across the border? Like, what exactly is going on here? And the people weren't responding. They're just like, close the door. Don't look at these kids.
Yeah, it's really weird. And that same video, he's like in front of the SUV trying to like stop it.
Yeah.
I'm like, relax, man. Jesus Christ.
Alex Jones don't give a fuck.
He's a big dude. But we'll probably see more out of that camp of what's going on down there.
And then he went to a facility. He's like, here come the buses. They don't want y'all to see the buses.
That was weird. That was wild. Huge, nice, big buses that are just bringing people in and out.
I mean, I don't know what facility he was at, but think about it.
I think that was in Donna.
Well, think about it, man. How many people did I see cross in the short span?
A lot, right?
Yeah, it was just like raft, and then you're leaving, and then you see Border Patrol there with just processing people, just a row of people sitting down. All right, what's your name? What country you from? Is that your kid? Okay, we'll find out soon. Boom, 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 boom. And then they had a bunch of people under the bridges. You got kids under bridges, and then they have to get divvied up and sent to different facilities, and then they end up going to Freeman Coliseum in San Antonio. They're in Dallas at a freaking convention center. They're in San Diego getting schooling at a convention center. You got all this. So it's kind of like maybe he was trying to show like, no, man, it's busloads of people getting moved around.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't wait to find out more.
Yeah, at the end of that video, not at the end of it, somewhere in there, somebody from the inside, he's wearing like a pink button-up shirt, comes out and gives them bottles of water. Like, just, hey, have a blessed day. Thanks for stopping by and visiting. And Alex Jones is like, for a second, he has to look at the camera like, oh, they're being nice. They're giving us waters, but it was really awkward. It was really weird.
Yeah, sad situation.
Where can everybody find you, Chingo? This weekend
we are in Killeen, Texas at Twice as Funny Comedy Lounge or Comedy Club. Twice as Funny in Killeen. And then we hit Lubbock on Sunday. Excited, man. Haven't been to Lubbock in years. A lot more tour dates and stuff like that. Hit up chingobling.com. Get your tickets there. And y'all take care, man. We're about to do a non-political podcast, Chingo Chats. Shout out to the patrons. If you have not joined, hit up patreon.com/Red Pill Tamales. Sas.